welcome to the Giraffe Social Media Podcast. It's what social media managers are talking about. I'm Caitlin McKenzie, and today I'm joined by some brilliant members of the Giraffe team. We've got Senior Social Media Manager Dom.
Hello.
Social Media Manager Nicole.
Hi everyone.
And Social Media Manager Laura.
Hello.
So in today's group chat episode, we're going to be chatting a little bit more about why Facebook groups are so useful for businesses and why we think they're great. But before we get started, it's time for a team question, as always. So the question I want to ask you guys today is, what's the most embarrassing Facebook group or page been a part of? I know we're all of the generation that liked every single kind of page when we were about 14, everything about whether you like toast or Gavin and Stacey quotes and random stuff. So I'm willing to go first and break the ice of my most embarrassing one. So in that era of creating pages just for absolutely anything and just the sheer high that you got if 100 people liked your page, I created one. And it was a Harry Potter themed one. I don't know if this is appropriate, but it was. I actually wish I hadn't started this kind of worm, but
Intrigued.
Yeah. Okay. So it was a pun, and it was I'd like to slither into your chamber of secrets.
Oh my god!
This is a Harry. So, all my friends we're all creating funny Harry Potter pun ones, and it got hundreds of likes. It was very exciting at the time, but in following years, I was like, oh god, that was really embarrassing. So I tried to delete the page, and I just had such a nightmare trying to delete this page. I kept getting new notifications, I was an admin, and I was like, oh goodness, I'm trying to be a professional. But yeah, that is mine. Embarrassing. I'm actually warm in the face from sharing that. How about you, Dom? Is yours embarrassing?
I don't feel I can top that, if I'm honest. But I mean, in the past, I used to like loads of pages and loads of different groups. But I went through a couple of years ago, I removed all of that from my Facebook, so I can't really remember what I used to be a part of. But I noticed one that I'm still a part of, and it was murder, crime, paranormal, and conspiracies. So yeah, I mean, I can't ever remember liking that page, if I'm honest, but it's there. I used to create pages, to be fair, as well, and it used to be like Gordon Ramsay reactions, Impractical Jokers reactions, and they never performed very well, so they no longer exist either.
How about you, Nicole?
Yeah, I was having a look back on my Facebook, and I was part of all of the. I don't know if anyone else did this when they were younger. It was it's so terrible to think of if you like Nicole Watson and this for all different friends, and it was basically a popularity competition, which is just terrible, isn't it? But I I have found a page that I made, and I clearly thought this was a funny joke. It's titled "Ha, you blinked. Of course I did. You just clapped in front of my face." What? What?
Oh my goodness. I feel like that just sums up a moment in time that we all experienced.
And it got 64 likes.
You know what?
I want to know when you created this, because if it says 2018-19, then
it was last year.
Why?
That's so true.
I love that still exists. Well, let's share the link in the show notes. How about you, Laura?
So, I was also part of the whole rapidly liking all pages and creating pages. And I created a page which was eating the chocolate on the Jaffa cakes before the sponge and jelly.
What is this?
I love that.
Oh my goodness, this is the best question we've ever had.
A little smiley face after, and I'm just having a look now, and I think 43 people follow it, which obviously is a tremendous amount. No, I'm joking, but people still like it now. I still get notifications, and this would have been
got loyal fans.
It's just so relatable.
It is. That's the thing about these pages. They were just so relatable. And I agree, Nicole. When I saw one that would be like this if you like Laura, yeah.
Why were we like this?
Like that. Yeah.
Amazing. Well, thanks so much for sharing those gems, guys. Can't wait to go and like these as soon as we're done recording. But today we're talking about maybe slightly more professional Facebook groups. And the power that Facebook groups and social media communities can have for like brands. So why can't a page just be enough? I feel like that's the question that a lot of businesses will be asking. And I have the answer to that question. In 2017, Facebook launched its Groups for Pages initiative, which allows brands to create or link dedicated groups to their business pages. And that helps them begin fostering communities and building like more meaningful and potentially profitable engagement around their brand activity. And the reason that was necessary is because Facebook made a big move towards community focused and like relevance in terms of posts. I mean, think about our own social media news feeds. How often do you see an unsponsored brand post unless you like really, really, really interact with the brand? It's not very often, right? So yeah, Facebook prioritize personal content and things like that are more relevant than they do brand posts. And of course, that's where advertising comes in. But if you don't have a big ad budget, opening a Facebook group might be a good idea. Do you guys agree?
Definitely. I think the example that pops to mind is Lad Bible and Unilad and all of those, because I think, this might be wrong, but I think they started off as Facebook groups, and they became so wildly popular that they're now like huge businesses, and they do amazing. I don't know, Dom, if you know anything more about that, but I yeah, that's the story I heard, because I know they were really, really popular Facebook groups. And then I think possibly another company bought them out. And now you see all of the celebrities doing like Lad Bible videos and things. And it was just shows how powerful they are to have that community of people joining into these groups and communities that clearly businesses wanted to profit off that.
Absolutely. I mean, Lad Bible is like an empire now. There's Sport Bible and I think Student Bible, just the ones that pop to mind.
Travel, all sorts.
Another example that pops to mind is Peloton. Have you guys heard of Peloton? I don't know if we're quite the target audience, but in case you haven't, so Peloton are a media and sport company, but basically they provide these spinning bikes that have a screen, and that screen allows you to join in competitions and be on leaderboards and have online classes and more updated like metrics about your performance and stuff. So it's very like immersive. But a part of their business model was launching Facebook groups once that became an option. And I'll have a little look. I've got the numbers in front of me, but the UK member group has like over 8,000 members. The official Peloton member page, which I think you join if you're going to buy one or if you've already bought one, has over 300,000 members and 530 posts a day. And I know why that's so successful. I actually joined the groups to have a little nose. I know why it's so successful is because when you give customers a place to be able to post, because I guess that's the difference with the page, isn't it? Because your customers can't post anything. They rely on you to share stuff.
Yeah.
If you give them a group, you're sort of putting them all together and they can all be like, oh, look at me using the product, or what do you guys think about this? And then it allows your customers to kind of do the marketing for you. Would you guys agree?
Yeah, exactly. Because, it's building sort of like a highly targeted audience that obviously shown an interest to the brand Peloton. And what better way to be able to provide and post in there and get as much information as possible from people who, are probably going to be loyal fans, people who are using Peloton. And you're going to get probably the most honest feedback possible from those people. So what better way? Like, obviously we know like Facebook pages, the algorithm, organic reach is becoming less and less. So the more you're sort of posting your page, although it's essential, it's you're not going to reach every single person that is liking your page, but a group, these people in the group are going to get notified when you post in there. And so and the fact that all the amount of insights you can get now within groups, you can see the demographics that are within a group. Yeah, exactly. So you can get all the information that you would on a page, but you're actually now pushing your post to, like I said, a highly targeted audience. So whether you're promoting a new product, you just want some feedback, you're maybe trying to trying to encourage more engagement by just posting tips, newsfeed, news. Groups are really effective.
Yeah, I would agree with that, and I think it sort of groups sort of feed into the wider marketing funnel almost, because once you've kind of got that, as Dom said, like highly interested audience already, then it kind of branches out from there, and you like, I know, for example, like word of mouth is like a really, really key like marketing tool, and pages like definitely help with that sort of building. I mean, I know that was the purpose of them by Facebook, which was really clever, sort of building community of already engaged users and users of products or services, anything. Just think they're just a really effective way to build into the wider marketing funnel.
Like exclusivity, I think, as well, right? Because if you're in the group, you have to apply. Sometimes you have to answer those questions about like why you're a relevant member of the group, and I think it's maybe just a basic human thing that you get a little dopamine hint where like, yeah, they've accepted you into their group. But like, if when bigger brands have these groups and then you're a part of their community, you're like, I think you can understand why the algorithm shows you group content more because you've chosen to be a part of that community. But I think also you're more likely to be engaged in what you see there because, yeah, it's more personal. And Dom, yeah, you mentioned the insights there, and I think they are hugely like underreported because the kind of information you get is the sort of thing you don't usually get in like a paid for tool or a scheduling tool. But the insights tabs tell you when your members are most active, literally down to the hour of the day and the day of the week, which you can't get organically on a Facebook page. And these are your core customers, aren't they? So you could probably apply these learnings if you didn't want to invest into like scheduling software that does all that for you. You could probably apply these learnings to your organic content on your page as well, because that's maybe when these users are more likely to be active too.
Yeah, especially if you're running ads as well, you can use the insights to get a better understanding of your demographics, like you said, because these people have shown an interest by wanting to join the group. So you can learn about who are the demographics that are resonating best with your brand, your product, and then you can sort of use that for your targeting if you are running ads to help further increase that and continue to reach more people that are going to be within your target market.
I think it's really interesting as well, going back to what you were saying, Caitlin, about like the exclusivity of it. I think Facebook like really does promote the idea of this community by, is it a top fan? Is that what you're called? You see those people who comment the most. Like it's really encouraging you to be the best, be the best member of that group or I don't know if there are any insights on that, but I think that's really interesting when you see, and I always see what my friends are top fans on in their comments, and you can tell what pages they're looking at on a daily basis. But it's just little things like that as a like consumer and as just someone on Facebook that makes you want to participate in these groups even more.
Yeah, I would agree.
Yeah, definitely. And I think, and you mentioned word of mouth there briefly, Laura, and I think maybe Facebook groups kind of step into that because word of mouth is almost sort of not there as much as it was. I mean, we aren't seeing people, we aren't chatting, it's probably the least word of mouth there's ever been.
Yeah.
So I guess digital has to step in somewhere, and this could be that. I mean, I'm in a bunch of Facebook groups, and I particularly like it for podcasts and things like that. I like to be able to chat about things that have gone on. Who knows? Maybe watch this space for our social media podcast listeners. But for example, a beauty podcast. I listen to a beauty podcast. I'm in their Facebook group, and I actually haven't listened to the podcast in maybe 6 months, but I still see these updates all the time, and people asking for recommendations and for different brands and things like that. And I just get involved. I don't know why. I'm not an engaged listener, but they've managed to keep me in their like active user base kind of thing, because there's other people like me. They created a place for us all to get together and chat about the things we like. And I mean, potentially that beauty podcast isn't as brand focused. It's a slightly different kind of kettle of fish, but you can see how there's an opportunity. Say you made hats and your business operated on the South Coast. I wish I'd chosen a more interesting example, but we're going with hats. But yeah, you're a hatter. I feel like there's a better word for it. But anyway, you're a hatter. You could create a Facebook group that was hat appreciation or hat fans of the South Coast, there's definitely better. Or like a more better example I'm going to change right now would be small businesses. So say you were a small business infrastructure or IT solution sort of company, you could sort of take it upon yourself to create a Facebook group for small businesses UK or small businesses for the South Coast. And a big chunk of your content could be just very helpful, very community based, and the point of the group is to connect your potential customers with each other, and they can talk and share experiences, and you can feed into that. But then because you've got this engaged organic group, every now and then you can be, oh, well, as you're all small businesses, we offer this IT solution. We think it'd be really, really helpful. And that content is going to appear so much better. So maybe it's not sneaky, I don't think, because you're providing a function, you're giving people a place to connect. But I think there's a lot of opportunities to tap into this. And I almost feel like every business should have a group.
Yeah, definitely. And I feel like going back to what you're saying with the IT example, they're more likely to go through with a purchase or a conversion because they're part of that trusted network, and they already know you. Even if they haven't bought from you before, they already know you. So you're already sort of at the forefront of their minds. And so yeah, that was my point.
No, yeah, I think it's like a good little place to collect all your sort of brand fans too, maybe as well, because I guess if I say there's a lipstick that I really liked, I'm sticking with you, I would maybe join that brand's group because I really like the brand. I'm not going to join that group if I maybe used the lipstick once and didn't like it. So I feel like you're kind of filtering out a lot of the negative comments that a lot of brands have to deal with on their posts.
Yeah.
You see so many poor brands having to like posting this amazing content, and then there's just a big chunk of comments underneath like, my order hasn't arrived, that sort of thing. So I wonder if maybe it is a more positive space, which would lead to people posting more positive content, and then that would encourage other people to buy. It must be helpful in terms of like a sales funnel too.
Yeah, absolutely. Because you're already, like, going back to what we've said, like you've already got that sort of higher intent audience that are already part of the marketing funnel or the sales funnel.
Yeah, definitely. And I guess if they're really happy at the end of the sales funnel, they're like an advocate, and then they might encourage other people who are just, interested or a little bit engaged to actually make an action and purchase.
Exactly. And, those people who are already making purchases, if you release a new product, they're more likely to buy your next product. So it's just, loyal fans, recurring sales. Yeah, win-win.
So what kind of like content do you think people should be posting in their groups? I mean, maybe like, do you think special offers to reward those extra engaged brand fans? Any other ideas?
Yeah, I definitely think, for a brand, definitely be engage with that audience, start a conversation. Don't just come across very salesy. If you want people to stay on that group, you want people to communicate with each other. Don't just spam the group with sales posts all the time. Oh yeah, discount this, because people eventually just gonna sort of catch on to that, and they keep getting notifications and they just see it, and they're eventually gonna leave, and you could potentially lose loyal fans. So definitely posts that are relevant, that are maybe industry news.
Yeah, that's a good idea.
Yeah, I think things like top tips, how to's, like sort of content around that, particularly if it's a like product pay or a product brand, a brand that sells products, for example. That's what I was getting to. Let's say, for example, like it's a pet page, it's a pet. I can't get my words out. It's like a pet brand page, and you sort of like top tips, how to's, like really sweet animal pictures, and then the occasional sort of maybe more salesy type post. But you can always intertwine salesy type posts with top tips and how to's, like products and services. And I think they're more likely to the audience is more likely to be engaged with that type of stuff, because I mean that's probably part of the reason why they've joined in the first place. Sort of have that, get that information, sort of have that interaction.
anything that starts a conversation is key in a Facebook group, because I think that's their main sort of objective maybe for the people involved. I think they want to be communicating with people like them. So any kind of post that encourages some sort of topic or something about your business that maybe only the real fans know, then I think that's just the best way to sort of bring that community together. And basically you just want to be the starting off point and let them continue the discussion. You don't want to be the one always forcing it. It's best to let them come to you. So that's probably the best way to do that, is by just encouraging as much conversation as you can.
I agree. And I think that it's really important to have somebody in your business who engages with this content, because I don't think you can just schedule posts and be like, so how was everyone's weekend? They all tell you, and then you're like, la la la, busy working on my other content. Do you know what I mean? Like, I think there's definitely more of an expectation. Of course, you should always be replying to like inbound community management stuff, but I think there's a bit more of an importance, because you have to do it from a personal profile as well, which is worth noting. So I guess it's like identifying someone in your business, probably in the social team, let's be honest, who is willing to be kind of like a face for the brand. Do you guys think moderation is really important, or do you think that it can be sort of left fairly autonomous?
I think it definitely needs somebody who is managing the group, because it can easily happen that there's somebody who somehow gets into the group when they're accepted, and they start posting on every single comment, every one of the other users' comments or posts, and just absolutely trolling them. It can happen, and it happens because of social media. So it's definitely important that there's somebody moderating it, ensuring that they're looking out for these sort of things. Especially if you start seeing like two people maybe starting to have an argument with each other, again, it can happen.
Definitely.
It's one of those things that you need to be on top of, and then
No, I agree, because I think having that sort of ongoing management is really beneficial, because if you've got, say you've got someone that's asked a question or needs some help with something, but then you've got a scheduled post going out, so then that person seeing that company's posted but hasn't replied to a question, or no one's got back to them, that can, I would be disappointed if that was me. And I've seen it on social happen before. Sort of company, like, people will complain if they're not getting a response, but yet companies are posting, that sort of thing. So I think it's really important to stay on top of that, and just sort of bear that in mind with any sort of scheduling with posts as well.
Maybe setting aside time maybe each day to just like check in. Sorry, Nicole, what were you going to say?
No, I was just going to agree with Laura in that the way you come across in Facebook groups, I think, is really different to normal posting, because you can join a group as a page, but would you rather see a business posting in this group that you're a huge fan of, or see the owner of that business posting in a group and giving you an insight into how they work? I think it's kind of a fine line, and I do think that some businesses need to really consider how they're going to use groups, and you just need to be aware that groups are designed for the people, if you like. So you want to kind of get on their side, and that's exactly as you were saying, sort of coming in as a person and giving your own experiences is the best way to do that.
I think you're absolutely right. And I think you just touched on something really nice there, that it does give that opportunity to have like a direct connection with like the people that work in that brand. And I think that's those interactions. I think we've talked about it before, when you interact with someone you really admire on social media, be it LinkedIn or a brand likes your comment on their Instagram post. It's like that, but I think times by 10. Like if you comment on a post put out there by the owner of your favorite brand, and then they reply to your comment, like that's a wonderful brand experience, and that's definitely going to translate to like prolonged brand loyalty and stuff. So I think that's really nice. And I guess of course I think I completely agree with you guys, like moderation is really important, and just to ensure like you're keeping a safe space, because you've created it. So at the end of the day, it's like you've invited everyone into your house, you need to like make sure like you say, no one's having an argument. But I do think there is a nice element in the fact that because it is so interactive, that if you can't necessarily get back to a query, someone's like, does this baking powder like make nice cakes, for example, another industry to touch on. And you might not be able to answer that question, but because there's all these other people who use your product and like your brand, they're likely to get involved and say, yeah, it makes it great, or you should try this, or here's a link to this thing I did. And so they kind of become an element of like self-sufficiency. And also and again, it's nice. It's all these brand advocates who don't probably even consider themselves brand advocates. They're just use your product, like your product, happy to talk about your product. But yeah, it kind of gives them a chance to be really active and engaged, which I think is super great. One example that I think is maybe worth mentioning as well is how effective groups are for really small businesses and sort of pyramid style schemes. I was speaking to a body shop consultant when I was putting together. So for anyone listening, we've got this great guide for building Facebook groups and like how useful they are for your brand. So we can link to that in the show notes. And if you want to learn more about social media communities, you can do that. But when I was creating that, we were speaking to this consultant called Amy, and she created a Facebook group to help her sell her body shop products. And she started off and she had like 6 members, and she was like, wow, isn't this great? I get to like direct line to 6 people. And I think she's now got over 600 members. And it's just, she's created this really nice environment for just these like-minded women to engage and talk to each other. But on the side of that, so she's like, every day she posts something, she starts conversation. She's like, how was your weekend? Here's a motivational quote, just like a really positive space. But of course, alongside that, she has access to all these deals and creative content. So, and things that people would be interested in, but they see the regular posts, I think, and then they also see the brand stuff and product stuff. And she says it's been a really excellent like model for her, and it helps her keep it like personal as well. Whereas a page, again, you're just sort of a blank wall sharing content, whereas actually she was saying that it's like great to engage. So I think that's a cool example as well. So does anybody have like any personal stories of like when they've used Facebook pages and it's like they've really like had a nice thing happen? I think the only thing I could say for me is I have a little travel blog, and occasionally I'll like share posts on like the little Facebook page I have for that. I'm not going to link it, it's a baby thing, but it's sometimes I like to share that in a relevant Facebook group, and then you get to see your content gets to go to like massive audiences. So I think that's worthwhile people bearing in mind as well. If they have a quite small Facebook page, I don't know how much you'd be able to get away with it if you were like Panasonic, but you can join, like you said earlier, Nicole, you can like join groups as a page. So if you have a page, you can join relevant groups, maybe that other brands are creators, maybe they're just organic, and you'll see probably huge spikes in your reach, which I saw when I like posted a picture of a dolphin I saw one time. Best performing post. That was, yeah, it's nice to see that there's different ways to like reach big audiences, but I think I've managed to make that non-personal and a bit more professional. But I think, Nicole, you've got a personal story, haven't you?
Yeah, actually quite recently, and I promise, just a warning, it is a happy ending, but a few weeks ago my beloved cat went missing. She didn't return home on a Friday night, and we were really worried because she'd never done that before. And my first action was to go onto Facebook groups. You know, there are so many like Lost Cats Brighton, like Find Cats Brighton, like all of this stuff, like more local groups in my area. And that was sort of the first thing I did, was post pictures and just ask if anyone had seen her. And immediately I had so many comments and likes of people saying they'll keep an eye out. They were sharing onto other pages, recommending websites. And it was amazing. And, you know, just seeing all of these people come together who genuinely were worried, you know, they were commenting the next day asking if she'd returned. And thankfully she did return. Sunday morning, she just waltzed back in like nothing was wrong. But but it was just amazing to see sort of the power of those groups instantly. You know, straight away you had these people who were in the area, who were keeping an eye out, who just wanted to help. And that, I think, just shows the power of those groups. Now, if I saw an ad in that page, how would I feel about it if it wasn't related to cats? I don't know, but maybe that's a conversation for another time. But, you know, it was such a great resource, and yeah, it all worked out.
What would you do if you saw like a really like a cat tracking collar or something? That would maybe be helpful.
Instant. That's the kind of ad I need to see. I would be buying it straight away.
Amazing. Well, thank you so much, guys. That's about all we've got time for today. So thank you to everyone for listening. Like I said, if you want to learn even more about Facebook groups and social media communities in general, then head to the show notes where we've got a link to our dedicated guide. Don't forget to subscribe so you don't miss our next episode, which is actually going to be a new and improved coffee break edition. So yeah, watch this space. You can also connect with us, of course, on all major social channels and let us know what you think about Facebook groups, if you have any opinions on using them for pages, or if you were a member of a really, really funny one too. We would love to know about that. But yeah, just make us feel better that we aren't the only people.
We've been Giraffe Social Media. You've been amazing. We will see you next time.